Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Keisha Clement, Andy Serling, as we get ready to head into the weekend of today's Friday card. And a couple of showers in the area, but we really haven't gotten any rain of any substance.
Yeah, it feels like today has been pretty dry so far.
Yeah.
I mean, Trike only scratched on the turf. Got to run on the turf yesterday. So.
Yeah, we've had very little rain, obviously, since we came down from Saratoga, but enabled us to run a lot of turf races, and we have 9 races today, 12 on tomorrow's card. We'll be starting, first post is 12:05 tomorrow that are interested, and of course a lot of stakes over the course of the weekend. The New York Bred Stakes for the boys a little bit later today, and we're not going to ask Acacia if she asked her father-in-law why they keep rating Silver Skillet. What is going on there?
No.
I don't get it.
Don't
How
know.
could they rate her again after last time?
No, I think from what Christoph said, he was hoping that she would be just off the hip of Moon Age Daydream.
Maybe he should be a little bit more assertive about it. I'll yell at him later. I haven't yelled at him
But
yet,
I think she was
to.
much further back than anybody anticipated.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't say we have a horse that's successful being forward, and then you decide to change the running style. It doesn't work, and then you do it again.
Yeah.
But that's racing. That's the way it goes. I'm not blaming Acacia completely, but I am holding her father-in-law accountable for that. I'll give him a hard time later. Head over to Naira.
I don't think it was how he drew up the race either.
I agree. I'm mystified by some of these things, and I'm sort of kidding around, but I'm also mystified at some of these decisions. Anyhow, head over to Naira Bets. We'll use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. Check out track stats when you're over there as well. What else do we have, Eddie? We have the contest, $300 buy-in up to post time tomorrow. Must play that through Naira Bets as well. And $20 bonus, 75 or more at Woodbine and Belmont at the Big A today here at Aqueduct. $20 win or lose. Got to opt in over at Naira Bets for that as well. And then we're on from 1 to 3:30, 5 to 5:30. It's you and Greg and I on the set, and Maggie, of course, in the paddock as well. We will have a break between 3:30 and 5. Race number 1. Race number 1. We'll show the video early of the horse that you like, My Magic Wand. And it's a little tricky. I don't know how good this race was, but this horse did have a bit of a trip.
She did. She was off slow. She was last early. She kind of rushed up between horses then, was keen, pulling Jose Lascano to be more forward. And look, she did not really accelerate in the stretch, but when you have a first-time starter that has this kind of trip, so right here is really where things get very dicey as well. That's not what you really want for a first-time starter. And the top 2 put a lot of separation on the field. Geopolitics finally did come back to win in her subsequent start with a 79 Beyer speed figure. So yes, there is a question of the quality of the race, but I'm just expecting we're going to see a better performance from her. And she, unlike I think some of the other main players who's either a first-time starter or significant layoffs, she has a recency.
I agree, and the rail was good, and she moved outside in there, and I do think it was a decent race, though, evaluation. The winner came back and ran a stinker in her next start, and she was down on the rail, and this horse was rail early, but she did angle out in the turn. Obviously, I agree. I think she's dangerous to have her second. As far as back to gridlock, I was looking up some stats for Chad Brown. At Naira, year-plus dirt sprints, Chad Brown is 5 for 7. 71%, 489 ROI. I just saw those stats. Actually, maidens are 3 for 4, 5 for 7. Maidens are 3 for 4, and they're all in New York as well. It just seems like when he brings these horses back off these long layoffs, they always seem to run. And frankly, that's why I picked back to gridlock, who would run a little bit before. I'm looking at the morning line, and I'm assuming from the morning line that there must be a story with the number 5 Fashion Victim for David to make this horse that short, or this horse has worked well. I don't know anything about this horse, and it's not exactly a great pedigree, though one of the foals was okay. They paid a lot of money, but it's a Tappet.
Well, it's a strong pedigree in the second generation. The dam is the sister to Just Whistle Dixie, who was a graded stakes winner, and she's the dam of New Year's Day, Mohaman, a bunch of graded stakes winners. So there is a lot of depth in the second generation. In the first generation, there's not really much at all. Sold as an early hip, I want to say like hip 4 or 5 at the yearling sale, $475,000. So obviously it's taken her a long time to get to the racetrack. But
speaking of a long time, what about the early money for the $1.35 million horse that you and I could joke about, but we won't? I have to nickname who won the Frizette, which is coming up next weekend a few years ago for Steve Asmussen. Was Steve, right? Steve trained nickname, didn't he?
I believe so.
I feel like she broke her maiden in Saratoga and won the Frizette. there's early money on the horse, but it's very, very early. I don't know what it means. You and I both left this horse out.
No, I didn't really know what to do with this one. I, again, don't know anything about her coming in as a first-time starter. Looking at the DRF Clocker report, she's not been showing a lot of speed in the mornings and just kind of breaking just okay, and not really dazzling much, but she's taking early money. It'd be interesting to see what happens as we get closer.
All right. No, I wouldn't pay that much attention to the money this an hour and a half before post time. Race number 2. I wanted to start with Musical Maestro, the number 9 in this race, and look at the race 2 back. Because I do think this horse is very, very dangerous in the race. I mean, I don't know what happened last time. The horse didn't do much running, but I thought this was a very good effort. And frankly, he should have been placed second in this race.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the stewards, and I agree with them for disqualifying final verdict, who came out and interfered. But in doing so, not only interfered the horse outside of him, but that horse, there was a chain reaction. And I don't know how they could say that horse was fouled and this horse wasn't. I just don't get it.
No, I totally agree. I probably was too hard on him. Maybe just left a bit of a sour taste for me with the performance last time out. I know that Java Buzz, has the speed. I don't think Java Buzz is all that good.
He was good that day.
He was good that day.
I don't know who that Java Buzz was, but that
He
Java
was
Buzz
good
has
that
not run
day.
since that race.
Yes, he was good that day. I probably was hard on him, but like I said, just really did not see much last time. I liked Karongo in this spot, so I scratch into forward move, but I do think that he makes sense finally getting back to sprinting on the turf.
Yeah, we'll show the last race because Raging's in there as well, and we have to mention Raging also.
Yep.
I mean, he was taking advantage of a fast pace near, but I don't really care about it. I feel like it was a bit of a prep. The best race this horse ever ran before last time from a speed figure standpoint was the debut sprinting on the turf. Then they went long, got rained off in a maiden race. Then they got rained off again. Then they went long on the turf. Then they went back to a turf sprint and got rained off. Finally, the horse gets to do what he probably wants to do anyway. And good suck-up trip or not, with a fast pace in front of him, he still ran his best figure ever on a dirt race, and he's probably a turf sprinter. But do you think Raging, I think Raging's dangerous as well. I don't trust this horse totally.
No.
But there's enough turf pedigree on a horse that could be the controlling speed.
Right. That was kind of what I went back to with this one. I think that it's a little bit tricky because he's definitely the fastest horse just on the Beyer speed figures that he's run, though they've all been on the dirt. Did try to get on the turf last time, as we just saw in that race. But the dam did finish in the money on the turf. Practical Jokes can certainly handle it, and there was a sibling that won on the grass as well. So this horse purchased at a Horses of Racing Age sale for Jordan Wyckoff and goes immediately to try to run on the turf. He's had success with those kinds of moves. So we'll see what he does getting a chance to run on it.
He ran extremely
He
well
did.
last time. He was
Huge.
forced
Yeah.
every step of the
He
way.
did.
I said having bet the winner, and I was lucky because, frankly, this horse was much the best
Yeah,
last
he
time
was.
out. It's funny that you have the I'm sorry. Oh, Inflation Nation gets in. That's the
Yes,
one. I'm sorry.
I upgraded him because he was able to draw in. So I
Yeah,
put him
no,
in it.
I can
initially
see
I'd
that
liked
as
the
well.
four.
I'm not sure I'm a big fan of his races, but he does have some races, at least on the go back. It's funny. Oh, this is
This is his first time running on the turf for 40 because the race 2 starts back was off the turf, and I just written that he just was so much more turf meant. And then last time out, I actually liked him a bit in that field,
Didn't
and
have
he
a
just
great
didn't
trip.
really run, didn't have the
Yeah,
best
it was a
trip.
weird
Yeah,
race.
exactly. It was a very oddly run race, so I thought I'd give him another chance because it is his first time getting a run for a claiming tag on the turf.
I don't disagree. A horse, speaking of that I looked at was Bailon. How do you?
Bailong, I believe?
Bailong.
Yeah.
This is a horse that has back form.
I
Obviously,
know. I
it's
looked
good
at this
enough.
horse for so long. Yeah.
I watched a race last time, and I'm going to be honest, was a little bit wide. They did ease this horse in the stretch, but I just wonder if he can run at all.
I
anymore.
know.
He is
That was
dropping
my
down.
question. It is a drop. And it was Kentucky Downs last time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a long way to ship him, but I guess the purses are so big you want to ship. But you ship a long way, though. He probably was already at Churchill, so it didn't really
And it
matter.
was very hot there.
Yeah, he was terrible in that race, and I just wonder if he has anything left, but he is dropping down. Interesting race. Race number 2. I struggled mightily with race number 3, and I think one of the things we have to talk about is the racetrack. We had a track on Sunday that was about as strong an inside bias as you'll see, and it clearly seemed to extend to yesterday's races. I mean, I'm sure some people out there like the 7th winner. If you did, I'm sorry you didn't get the $50 you deserved and not the $25 you got. That horse, that whole race, when the racetrack starts affecting the races as dramatically as it has for 2 straight days, you would hope that they're able to do something to make the track fair. If you're a trainer, you're an owner, most horses that run races lose. But you want to lose at least thinking, well, my horse just wasn't good enough.
Right.
But if you're going to lose because the track gives you absolutely no chance to run your best race, and listen, biases pop up, and it's not as though the supers are trying to get biases, but when you get an extreme bias, it is a job to do something about it. And clearly there's something going on with this racetrack because horses are just not making up ground.
Well, even with that horse that won, when I interviewed Romero Mirage afterwards, the first thing he
talked
said
about it.
is, I saw the track was playing, I'm going to the lead, and that's my best chance, and I'm going to go wire to wire. And that's exactly what happened.
No, he was very smart in that interview.
Yeah, very.
And I just don't know if they've done something. I hope they've done something to track. It's just, it's frustrating after a while because as handicappers, it's hard to know exactly how the race is going to play. I obviously saw a lot of logical results. And I know Linda's horse made a big run from the back of the pack. Horse also stayed inside the entire way, and it was a pretty questionable field. But horses, I mean, you're also seeing exaggerated margins.
Yes.
Exaggerated margins are frequently the result of a bias. And we clearly have a situation where horses are not making up ground, all the running's being done inside, and almost all the running is being done by the horses that are forward in these races. And we've seen 2 straight racing days apart, and hopefully that gets more even. And in this race, that's a real factor here. Now, a horse that, you know what, let's pass on the first replay. Let's get rid of that one. And let's just go to this. Let's just not use that one, okay, Eddie? Let's go to Secret Rules, Dangerous Ride, Garuvan, because I think it matters. I mean, Squire Creek is probably the speed, but isn't Secret Rules supposed to be sort of right outside of him?
Yep.
And I'm afraid Garuvan, who I thought ran very well here, another day where being forward was an advantage, but Garuvan's going to be so far back here, I can't pick him on this track.
I actually really wanted to pick Garuvan today because I thought that he needed that last race. And then, just as you said, the more I kept looking at it, I said, I think that he's bound to run a good race. I just worry about his closing style in this field. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Squire Creek, who does come back as a gelding, was very disappointing last time out, but was pressed on the front end. He should be on the front. Secret Rules is not slow. And I thought Dangerous Ride had tactical speed as well. I know he's not necessarily a winning type, but he's a horse that I thought could potentially get the good kind of trip, drawn towards the inside, and Step on Goose, not usually a short comment running line that you see.
I'll pass on that comment.
By the way, that day when we saw it happen, I was told that the goose was okay.
Okay. I wasn't because I bet Dangerous Ride. But I'm glad the goose is okay, whatever that may be. I don't disagree. I think that horse is very logical in here. I don't like Squire Creek, but if you have a track like we've had the last couple of days, he can win.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with biases. They're enabling horses that aren't good enough to win races. And yeah, it's great for their connections, but it's not really what horse racing is supposed to be about. And when you have an extreme bias for 2 straight days like that, you have to hope it's fairer, but you do have to be leery of it a little bit. And at least with Dangerous Ride, I agree, you have a horse that'll be a little bit more forward. As far as President Z, I'm hoping he can be forward as well. You know, it seems like Rick Dutro's horses are really running.
Yeah.
Mozienko was clearly best yesterday, blew the brake, made a big outside move, got beaten by the 3-5 who wired the field. And I don't trust this horse, and you know how I feel about a horse's claim from David Jacobson, but I'm kind of hoping this horse can get back the best race in the way Rick's horse has been running. Feels like they're running. He'll be a bit of a price. And I did want to take somebody at least that'll be a bit of a price because track bias or not, this is a tricky race.
It is a tricky race.
I don't really, you know, I mean, neither of us have Master of Arms in there, but he did beat a horse that came back and ran a giant figure for Tom Amos off the claim.
I know.
And he's not that slow. I don't know.
Agreed.
Tricky race, Acacia.
I had a very tough time with this one.
Yeah, I didn't make picks of this race for a long time. Race number 4. We both end up, I think, with the same horse here and Make Your Moment. And I think one of the reasons is you watch the replay with Judge Rules, right? Judge Rules is the morning line favorite, beating Charming Jim. This is last time they ran the turf. Listen, both of these.
Just kind of had enough of both of these horses.
I agree, and I feel like either Make Your Moment, who didn't run very well first time, does switch to Dylan, but is a second-time starter, and Katani, who's second off a layoff. I just feel like one of these horses will probably win. Maybe I just copped out, but...
No, I agree. So I kind of relied on notes for these 2 races. So Make Your Moment I had written down just wasn't 100% fit first time out, was acting up in the gate a little bit, and you could even see that when he broke, hitting the gate and getting out a little bit awkwardly too. So hoping There's going to be improved fitness today. There's going to be improved professionalism as well. And then with Katani, this horse was the favorite that day and had run the fastest races in that field, but he was so wound up, completely washed out before the race, even coming into the paddock and just really over the top. And we've seen this a lot, and we've talked about it frequently. Much more crowded track, hotter temperatures up in Saratoga. You see horses be so much more relaxed. He's also now second off the layoff. Today would be the day, and watch how he's acting beforehand too, because I think we're going to see a much better performance from him.
Because his race 2 back before the layoff would make
Absolutely.
him extremely hard
Yeah.
to beat in this race. And if there's somebody clever in here, I was not seeing it. Tony O, I think we all keep waiting for him to show up and run well again.
I
And he has back
know.
form, but he didn't do any running last
he
time at
didn't.
all, and maybe one of these days he will. I guess I have the Mitch Freeman horse, Rohan, but it's really more. Actually, I don't have the horse anywhere. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong horses. You have the one in there as well, Judge Rules, but
Yeah,
I don't want him either. Race number 5. We'll take a break after race number 5. Well, I'll start out. I want to show the replay of the final verdict. Cigarette Boat, Alexis Zorba. We'll start with just the start for Alexis Zorba, who completely lost any chance.
Yep.
So whatever chance he had was eliminated at the break. But what I want to talk about this race is more of a turf condition thing. While final verdict, I don't know why we're continuing to show this, but you can if you want. While final verdict was outside, Cigarette Boat was down the rail, did angle off in the stretch, but spent most of the running down the inside. And this was a point in the meet as we got later and later into the meet where the Mellon turf course, it seems like the inside paths were pretty chewed up. And the majority of the best running was done by horses that were off of the inside. And Cigarette Boat, while a little bit off in the stretch, spent a lot of time inside. I think final verdict was helped by being outside. And I'm not knocking final verdict. He's in great form. He can certainly win this race. But I thought the Cigarette Boat, who ran very well 2 back, was badly compromised by the turf course last time. And I think if he can get back to that race 2 back, where he ran very, very well in a race that was falling apart at the end, I prefer Cigarette Boat coming out of that race.
I agree. Of the horses coming out of there, I did prefer Cigarette Boat over final verdict, but both I think are logical. I just went for a new face in here with Dancing Rinka coming in. I thought it was a little bit of an odd trip at Kentucky Downs last time out. Not exactly surprising. You know, we talk about some horses that handle that track and some that don't. Was off a bit slow, kind of moving up chasing, and then did run on though second best. So I thought was a little bit intriguing and had some decent form in California sprinting prior to that.
I wish he wasn't 1 for 17.
No, I agree.
That's my problem. And I don't like the last race he comes out of. I know it's Kentucky Downs. In fact, I don't love the races in California as well. But my biggest problem with this horse was that he's 1 for 17. I think that Alexis Zorba is going to run better in here. But I like Cigarette Boat. We'll see what happens. Race number 5. The late pick 4 after a quick break.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Acacia Clement and Andy Serling. Race number 6. Race number 6 is a stakes quality maiden race. I'll be very surprised if we don't see at least 1 or 2 stake performers coming out of this race, because all of the 4, 5, and 6 feel like they ran races good enough to win, and all of them feel like they're a lot better than they look. I'll let you talk about Sovereignty. I didn't show the replay, but go ahead and talk.
Well, it dropped back from the outside post and was a little bit green and erratic, but did actually run on a bit and seemed to have a big stride. And I wasn't in the paddock for the first race, but I remember Maggie Wolfendale saying that this was a big horse that wanted more distance and gets more distance immediately. And I just thought, looking at the way that he ran, running a little bit green, looking like he really needed that race, and the way that he finished, to me, was running in a style that suggested more distance would benefit. And, you know, it's interesting. I mean, all three of these horses got 79 Beyer speed figures. And I think come out of 3 races, like you said, that are better than they look, even, you know, with kind of the big buzz horse of Ferocious in that race from Prater.
Yeah, also with Sovereignty, nobody was closing in that race.
No,
It
he was
a
kind of the one that was
merry-go-round race.
picking up some ground.
And it's funny, I remember my friend Pete Minikis was in town, and he had he told me he watched the race with Dan Pride from Godolphin and said they were very, very high in this horse going forward. And we're talking about it, and I said, the horse had run very well, and I went back and watched after he was talking about it, and the horse galloped out strongly.
Yeah.
No argument at all. This horse is an absolute major player in this race. As far as Praetor, is it Praetor? Is that how you pronounce
Yes,
it?
I believe so.
Actually, I have Classicist first, so let's just Classicist anyway. I thought this horse ran very, very
Did?
well in here, and I'm not going to be, I know I've got him third, but I'm not going to be surprised when this horse wins. I mean, he doesn't break, takes himself out of the race, kind of jumped up at the start, length and a half or so slow, and I really thought this horse was running. I know this was kind of an odd race, but I thought this horse ran very, very well. I mean, you look at how much it took to get him into the race that easily after the start, and then he drops back to last, but then he's re-rallying. It just feels like he's a horse that was figuring out what was going on as the race was progressing.
Yeah, and especially for 2-year-olds too, when you have a start like that and John Velasquez having to ride him so hard early, that's not an ideal position to be in. And oftentimes they'll just kind of throw in the towel after that. Asking them to re-rally and restart the momentum again is rare. And I thought that he did actually finish really well in this race. And I think he's got a big future too.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
I think all of these horses, it's really
It's like
interesting that they all
Curlin,
show up in the
longer.
same race,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I know,
Because
it
this
is.
feels like a preview of the Remsen.
I know.
And maybe stakes next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've all got to break their maidens, and probably only one of them are going to do it today. But I think the second and third horses in here might be pretty good.
Yeah.
And as far as Prater, this horse really ran last
He did.
time. I'll show you the star of the race. It's number 4. It's another horse that, didn't really, just sort of didn't know what he was doing when the gate they started. But this horse made a significant move on the turn. And I know that, didn't finish that well, but that was mostly because Ferocious was running away from the field. Now, I have some reservations about Ferocious, though I did think he ran well in the Hopeful, and he seems to be, sort of looked like he was going to finish last, and then he re-rallied. This was a very good effort by this horse, though.
He took a lot of dirt, too. I mean, look at how clean the top 2 finishers are in comparison. A little bit green looking in, and also from my notes, he was so green in the paddock. He was screaming and hollering and just really not professional. And he showed some professionalism out on the track running,
He was
though.
bet.
Yeah.
I mean, to be under 3.5 to
I
1
know.
with Ferocious in the race, and this was a very
Yeah,
live race.
he nearly got
This horse
second,
got
just
bet.
missed the photo for second there.
So, yeah, no, I think he's a good one, too.
is.
And I'm just looking forward to this race,
Me
to be
too.
honest with
Yeah,
you.
me too.
I think these horses are pretty good. Race number 7, this race. No, I was thinking the stake was the 7th. I was confused.
You got excited.
No, I actually kind of think this race
This
is
is an interesting race, yeah.
And I think you have to start the conversation with Brown Sugar Babe.
Yeah.
David Argona was giving me some stats on Jamie Ness, and he's saying how, I believe I'm getting this basically right, I'm not going to have the accurate stats. His horses he's done well with in New York have primarily not been claimers that he's brought in. I don't know where this race came from, because it's nowhere else in the horse's PP, but there's nothing wrong with this race. This wasn't a speed bias. This is a very good race, and if she runs it back, she's going to win.
Yeah, I agree. She's never
I don't trust
run
her,
anything that fast at all. Can she bring that form here? That's always the question. I don't trust her either, but I think she's one of those horses, and we both put her third. I think you have to have her in there somewhere.
I think you've got the horse to beat if she's not reliable on top and no leader. I'll talk about her.
Yeah, she, I had written down last time that she looked fine off the layoff, but really wanted to go longer. I thought it was a prep. Riley Mott actually won that race. Cruz to Catalina, who was pretty strong in there. And just Nolita with that big stride, I said, wants to get more distance. That's what she gets in here, and I would imagine she'll be better second off the bench as well.
Yeah, no, I have no knock on her, and I'm not against both those horses, but I have to bet Enfuega. I don't know that Enfuega is a horse that's going to appreciate the mile.
That was my big question with her.
But she's going to be a good enough price that I can lose some money to find out, and she's going to be forward in this race. This is her race on June 30th. Because she drew an inside of the other speeds, she ended up in front. and I think it ended up hurting her. Last time out, inside. She's rushing up and chasing the pace inside. Now she gets an outside post and blinkers on, and she may be the controlling speed in this race as well, but she's in a much more comfortable spot outside, and I'm just looking at her dirt races. If she can get the mile effectively, I believe that she can move forward. And I think she's better than those figures suggest because she's continuously been putting positions where she's not comfortable in her races.
Yeah.
And today she can finally get her best chance. I don't have an enormous amount of confidence in her, but I thought maybe she'd get it done because there are not a lot of horses I like. I mean, these are the funniest two horses from the Christophe Clement barn I've ever seen coming to race because both of these horses just look woefully slow.
Yes, they both broke their maidens up at Finger Lakes, got the win. I do question how that form will hold up coming back here to the NYRA circuit. Miss City Girl is the full sister to City Man, who's running in the stake, but
City Man's not telling anybody.
No. My point was that he actually started on the dirt, so I think in the pedigree they can kind of handle either surface. But
City Man's a good dirt horse.
Yeah.
He was at one time in his career. I'll see what happens in Fuega, but I don't have any real problems with the 4-1. You've got Chasing Daylight second. You've got a lot more heart than I do.
Well,
I have enough of this horse.
I agree with that. My thing with her is that I just thought it was a weird race. It was a odd entry last time out on the turf.
Well, she has pedigree, though.
She does have some pedigree for it, and I'd written down she was okay on the turf.
She actually didn't run that badly last time.
Not.
That race fell apart.
Not.
She didn't run badly in there at all.
But she is a quirky horse. I mean, she wears a cage bit and an extension blinker. She has the tendency to bear out. And I don't know, I just thought going back on the dirt, given her early speed, maybe she could grab a piece.
All right, see what happens. She does like to run second. Race number 8, the Ashley T. Cole, and we'll start out with the running of the West Point last time. I think Dakota Gold was Danny Gargan's only win in Saratoga.
Yes.
I don't know that he's going to get better with more distance. And I don't know if Jerry the Nipper can run it all anymore, but he's the controlling speed here,
Yes.
and I'm going to try to wire the field with him. I have no confidence. I have no confidence he can still run, but I kind of wonder if City Man still has it, and Dakota Gold's going to beat me if he wins 2 straight.
Well, I had the exact same process with Jerry Nipper. I thought Jerry the Nipper, I thought he was going to control. He was hustled to the front end last time out. And yes, I do question the added distance for Dakota Gold. City Man, I thought, did show more life last time out. It was a better performance than 2 starts back, and he probably needed that race in the Hudson Valley for fitness as well. He's a 7-year-old now, kind of takes a little bit more time to round into form. But he is also a horse, too, that if there is a little bit of cut in the ground for City Man, given some of the rain we had yesterday, he does not love that. But we'll see what he can do. I was glad to see him finish last time out, and he's always been a favorite of mine.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I think he's good. Now
A lot of these horses, I mean, these are tough old New York breds in this group, yeah.
I just hope that they don't make the mistake of saying, well, Jerry the Nipper ran off last time and he didn't win, so we're going to rate him here.
Right.
The
I
reason
think
that
his
Jerry
speed
the
is
Nipper
dangerous
has
here.
the record he has, and not a much better record, is he was the recipient of more bad rides than probably, if they gave an award, the New York Bred Awards, for horse that received the highest number of bad rides, it would be Jerry the Nipper by a lot.
He did have
I mean,
some
I don't
trips, yeah.
understand, all the times that Jose was rating him in races with no speed and taking him back. I don't know if it's instructions. Let him go. Let him try to win the race in the front end. He ain't winning it from behind in here. As far as Hush of the Storm winning last time, he did take advantage of a very fast pace to close into and got a good trip. He can also be a bit more forward, though, if there isn't much speed. I just don't know if he's really good enough.
I know. He's an odd horse because we've talked about this throughout Saratoga. Brad Cox claiming a limited number of horses and actually doing incredibly well with those horses claimed too. And this horse had such strong synthetic form. You can certainly understand going into the stake at Presque Isle last time out, but back to the turf where he did win last time. I thought that he was one that could potentially be in kind of a tactical spot this time, maybe sitting not too far off Jerry the Nipper.
Yeah, I don't think he's impossible. And listen, Saratoga Flash will show him running second in the Appleton. I don't know what to do with him, but I know that every horse that Saffie Joseph runs, they seem to all be running. So I didn't really like him, but he has shown flashes to give him a chance.
He is coming out of back-to-back stakes tries and sprinting. Maybe that's not what he really wants to do. But it's interesting because early on he was showing a lot more speed on the front end, and this is one of his best races in the Appleton. He came from pretty far off of it.
I'm laughing, remembering his race at the bottom of the page on December 24th of 22, when I was trying to explain to some people that didn't seem to understand that he couldn't lose that race. And there was he was 10-1 morning line, as I recall.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a living cinch and over 2-1, and nobody seemed to be able to figure out why he was going to win. He's not bad. I just don't know if he's quite as good, but it's Safi Joseph. I'm not knocking anybody for throwing every one of his horses in. Race number 9, I picked Safi Joseph. He got guys the 7 scratch.
Yeah.
So my picks here are 10, 1, 3, 5.
I was really looking forward to seeing that horse get on the grass too, but another day.
I'll show On a Summer Day, who has the only one that did a little bit of running and ran okay last time. In this field, I'm not going to be surprised if he does well.
Yep.
I scratch into the 10 here, who you liked as well, because the dam side is turf. I don't know if the sire, you're going to get turf from there, but the dam side turf, and man, I don't like a lot of what we've seen, including this horse. The horse didn't run, but he could win now.
There is not much for him to sink your teeth into. And yeah, he did. He finished 3rd this day. Actually did run on. He does have turf pedigree and has run okay on the grass. Even 2 starts back at Delaware ran okay, showing speed. And yeah, he's kind of the horse to beat on his last 2 races on a summer day.
He is.
As far as Soul Secret does go, as you mentioned, I mean, there was a sibling that was a 5-time turf winner. 3 horses have won on the grass. That race was off the turf on debut. Just thought he would appreciate getting onto the turf.
Yeah, no, it's a race. You want to take some kind of new face, and the 7 and 10 were the new faces. The weirdest thing in this race is, why is Mez California back on the turf? This is a horse that ran a respectable race, second time out of the dirt.
Yeah.
Went on the turf last time, was the favorite, and was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Why are they going back to the turf with this horse?
I don't know. Blinkers going on. I don't know. You mean another
They must have seen something.
Yeah.
They want to give the horse another chance, but I bet the horse last time, and the horse was terrible. So, all right, we're done? Well, we're just getting started.
Well, yes.
We got a whole afternoon together, but we're done in this show. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Check out track stats when you're over there as well. We also have, this is the contest. Yes, $300 contest. You'll have to post time tomorrow. Get more information at nairabets.com/contests. $20 bonus, $75 or more at Woodbine and Aqueduct, Beaumont, the Big A. Opt in over at Naira Bets to get involved in that as well. And we are on from 1 to 3:30 and then from 5 to 5:30, covering race 1 through 5, and then the last race here all on FS2. Acacia, thanks.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you upstairs in a little while.
Yes.
We're done. Chris Griffin, he's doing calisthenics somewhere in the building, but he'll be
I
on
saw
this
him doing
weekend.
jumping jacks. coming
Yeah,
in.
no, he's getting
He's
ready for the
excited.
day. He's got about 25 minutes before he has to do the changes. The reprise, the scratch and change. Have a great day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.